I am Erin Patten, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. Greetings, I am Erin Patten, also known as Master L, and welcome to the Meta Business Millennial podcast. Today is Meta Monday, and we are live across all social media platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And it is an honor to be with you here live and in the flesh today. And I'm just so grateful that you all are always here with me, joining me every week, week after week. If you haven't already, I highly advise, suggest, encourage you to follow me at I am Erin Patten across social media channels. And if you feel so called, definitely share this message with a friend or leave me a comment, DM me. I would love to hear from you and how these messages resonate with you. And today's message was really inspired by just all that is happening in the world today. Like, I'm sure that you all know and notice that yeah, I know it's laggy, but I'm connected to the ethernet. I noticed it a little bit before, but I really don't know what to do about the lagging. I guess it's the website. So I'm just going to keep going. And there's just so much going on in the world right now with the Olympics going on and with election cycles and business, markets things. And I really want to speak to the future and and how we're building towards that, because essentially that's what the meta business world is about. It's about preparing ourselves, of course, for now, being present now, doing our work now, but how we can be better leaders for the future. And that is a whole, conversation of its own. And that's really what I want to get into today. And that's why I titled this podcast episode, Are You Ready for New Earth Leadership? Because a lot of people, I'm not even sure, know what New Earth is. So I want to just start right there with really just defining what New Earth is. And the New Earth essentially is the next iteration of where we are today. So how, like I said, how we've done business in the past is no longer compatible with the future. To be honest, like how we've done sports in the past, like with this Olympics games, like we've been doing this shit for millennia, like the same type of vibe and the symbolism, the rituals, everything around it has been for millennia. And so it's really about how can we reimagine the future. And it's interesting because I was watching this documentary on Netflix called Sprint, and I literally like binge watched it. And I don't really binge watch a lot of things, but in my younger days, I used to run track and cross country, and I honestly really enjoyed it. And there was parts of it though that was really anxiety inducing, and I saw that too in the athletes in the documentary, was around the mental aspect of it, the competitive aspect of it, the what they called kind of like the battlefield aspect of it was really anxiety inducing. And so, being able to witness this and reflect on it really brought back some deep memories for me that I felt like I was even working through and healing while I was watching this documentary. And it really brought up a lot of questions for me around, what would the future of sport look like? And it's interesting because one of the main characters in the docuseries, his name is Noah Lyles, and he is the world champion right now in the 100 and 200 meters races. And his purpose for now, for doing for participating in the sport, is to elevate the sport. He says he is truly a world champion, and he really wants to elevate that for the sport. And so I feel like that's a beautiful first step in finding deeper meaning in why you do what you do. Elevation of to be visible, for more people to be seen and recognized and acknowledged. Certainly that's a great first step. And really it's when you think about the level of consciousness, it's absolutely what we need to master before we start to reach higher levels of enlightenment. And so, I'm able to watch this and reflect on it and be inspired by it because I see how it's evolving, and I see how it's starting to evolve our future into our future. And so as I think about sort of the new earth and what that definition means, it's really about the collective, individuals operating in the collective. And that's the difference between, for example, like the track and field sport, or how we operate in the United States, how we're like every man for himself. We're a very individualized society. It's, a dog eat dog world. That's really kind of the language and the energy we move in this day and time for like the individual. And then, like in some Eastern cultures, there is really this focus on the collective, where the individual is completely irrelevant. And we know that is not as successful, because in order to have a collective, you have to have a bunch of individuals. And that's really what I talk about too when I speak to my organizational healing and the organizational work, is that there are individuals that make up the organization. So even though we're doing organizational healing, we have to look at the individuals that comprise the organization and how each of them are contributing to that healing or participating in that healing. And so when we're working towards a new earth, it's about having these healed individuals working collectively to create a higher, better existence for all people, all of humanity, all of and how it reverberates outside of that, or all of mankind. And so that essentially at the baseline is what New Earth is. It's about individuals working together, coming together to have a better collective, a more loving, a more compassionate, a more collaborative, a more innovative, a more profitable, a more wealthy, a more beautiful collective, all of these things. And so when we are working towards that, that is the New Earth paradigm. And then as leaders in that, or if we choose to be, then how do we lead in this new world? How do we lead in a space where we're thinking about ourselves, yes, putting ourselves first, but then also doing it in service to a collective? Okay, that's next level. And I want to talk about this too from the perspective of business, because recently I just got interested in thinking about Tony Hsieh and the Zappos model, because, of course, I'm studying holacracy, and I've been doing a lot of the holacracy work with my team and doing holacracy coaching for myself, and really am starting to embody a little bit at a time more of this holacratic practice. And for many of you who may or may not know, Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos, the shoe company, actually was implementing holacracy at Zappos while he was there. And it was totally leading edge. I mean, of course, the book Delivering Happiness, which I just bought recently to read for myself and really kind of understand more about his journey, was based on his desire to create a happier, more purpose-driven workplace where employees were truly satisfied in delivering products. And in the early 2000s, this was revolutionary. And so in 2024, this is still revolutionary. And actually, as I was just, looking at the news this morning, I happened to be on Forbes looking at news for CEOs, and this was the top article, was around companies that are carrying forward Tony Hsieh's legacy. And so it just felt so apropos. It just felt so aligned to continue to talk about this and to continue to build upon this framework around what it means to be happier, healthier people, individuals, employees in an organization, in a collective, in the world. Okay. So we do the microcosm, in our workplaces, but really it's a reflection of what's happening in our broad world, in our big trillions of people, billions of people world. And so when you're thinking about leadership in that way, it really requires everyone to feel like they are a leader. It requires everyone to feel like they have a voice. It requires everyone to be comfortable with themselves. And that is modeled by you. That is modeled by you who is embodying that truth, who is embodying that authenticity. You are embodying that love for yourself and that love for others so they can see it modeled. And that is just how simple it is, how simple and how hard it is, because this work starts with you. This work starts with you. And so as we're doing this work, and I point to myself too, because it's a we, it's a collective. As we're doing this work, it begins to reverberate and ripple effect. I feel like I say this every week, have the butterfly effects around the world and the people around us. And so when you're thinking about like, okay, how do I become more authentic and true to myself? How do I really align to something that is deeper for me and higher for me? And that really comes from you exploring those aspects of yourself that you really you want to be seen, you really enjoy. And that's something too that, even in my parenting practice, I was listening to this webinar yesterday called Conscious Discipline. And, when you're talking to toddlers, you're asking them what you want. What do you want? And then how can we meet in the middle? And as you're parenting a toddler, it really teaches you how to parent your own inner child and really understanding what it is that I want and asking yourself, what do I want? And if I don't have that, what can make me feel happy enough to meet myself in the middle so I don't throw a tantrum, so I don't have a fit? And of course, our tantrums and fits don't look the same as it does for a toddler. For some of us grown folks, it does. But for most of us, it really looks like disease, dis-ease. It looks like cramps. It looks like, injuries. It looks like headaches or migraines or skin rashes. So the energies that are disease or at dis-ease in our body manifest outwardly, and we're not able to scream, we're not able to cry and beat the floor and hit people like we bite people like we are when we're toddlers. So as adults, our body finds other ways to release those emotions, those misaligned energies. And so when you start to notice this is happening in your body, you must listen to yourself. And that's why people are in the holistic healing world are always just like disease, cancer, whatever it is. It's never the end all be all, especially when you're able to get to the root of it, especially when you're able to see that, wow, I am so much greater, more powerful than whatever is manifesting in my physical being. That takes work. I feel like Joe Dispenza does a lot of this work. Um, because I'm not sure if it was him particularly, but there are other folks in the healing industry who have literally healed themselves from paralysis by simply acknowledging, I will no longer live in this body in this way. And I see a different route out without judgment, without shame, with commitment, with discipline to the practice. And it's the same for you. As you're going down your path, and like I was starting off in the beginning and knowing what you want to get there, whether it's coming out of disease or coming out of a bad relationship or coming out of a bad business deal, you see a higher outcome and you focus on that. And not that that you ignore what's happening now and what's in your present moment. That's not the case. That's not at all what I'm recommending. However, it is about realizing that that will eventually fall away, accepting it as it is, accepting it as it be. And when we start to come into that practice of really arcing towards a higher vision for what we want, then it continues to evolve. Like, for example, when I started this journey, like I shared with you all before, like I just wanted to have a workshop for women. And then it's evolved and evolved and evolved. And now I want to do inspirational speaking and motivational speaking for millions. Like that's a completely, I wouldn't say different vision, but incredibly higher vision. I still can do workshops. I still can help people one on one, but then now I'm just thinking about something even greater. But that only came as I continued to clear away all the doubt, all the fears, all the gunk, all the insecurities that I had within my own being. And it wasn't that I ignored those aspects of myself. I was hyper aware of those aspects of myself, hyper aware of my insecurities, why I get so upset when someone talks to me that way, or why I get so upset when someone talks behind my back and says these nasty things, or, why I react this way when such and such happens, XYZ happens. Questioning those emotions in your being is critical. Understanding yourself is crucial. And that's part of the understanding of yourself is the questioning, because it comes from a place of curiosity than from a place of judgment. And this is a word that I'm just going to always be referring to because it's just not a practice that we're used to. We're so used to judging ourselves. If we aren't wearing makeup, if we're sweaty, if we're stinky, if we have a booger in our nose, if we have food in our teeth, it's a judgment, it's a judgment, it's a judgment. Like literally, we can't be right ever. There's always something wrong with us. And that's not okay. We have to give ourselves more grace. We have to give ourselves more love. We have to give ourselves more understanding, more understanding, more overstanding. And as we do that, we begin to shed a lot of those things that even brought up those emotions in the first place. And then we're able to access higher states of being. And as we access those higher states of being, then we're able to achieve more for ourselves and for our lives. And then that's what I'm speaking to when I talk about the new earth leadership is it must be a leadership modeled, embodied. It can't just be given because you have a lot of money or you have this last name or you come from this family or you have this amount of followers or fame. That's not leadership. In our world, we call it false light. It's definitely light, it's definitely bright, but it's not truth. It's manufactured. It's it's a commodity. It can be bought and sold, it can be taken away. However, your essence can never be bought and sold and taken away. And that's what people feel. That's what people see. That's what people know to be true. And so you must continue to nurture that essence. That's the work. That's the journey. That's the soul aligned purpose, reason for being. And I really love to talk about this because it really reminds me of why I do what I do. Why I show up here every week even when it's laggy and I'm mad cuz it's laggy, but I still got to keep going cuz shit's never going to be perfect. And I did everything right today. I got the Ethernet cord, I got the lights, I got the camera. I took the time to get it all ready and it's still lagging. But this is a greater metaphor for life. Like we could have everything aligned, everything can be perfect. And then there's going to always be something that's out of your control that you have to just accept it for what it is and keep moving and keep going because this is not the last stop. I know this is not the last stop for me. I mean, for me, I want to have a whole talk show and TV show and production and a team and all that. I won't even have to worry about setting up anything else anymore. That's for me the goal. So for right now, to deal with a little laggy or to deal with some tech issues, before I would literally shut down the camera and start crying. I used to be like that. But now it's just like, okay, well, this what it is. I got to keep going. I got to show up at 10 o'clock. I promise the folks I'd be there at 10 o'clock. You can be one person in the room. I'm going to be here for myself and for them because I know my purpose. I know where I'm going. And this is definitely not the last stop. This is like, what I'm saying, like a water break. This podcast right here, even though it means so much to me, it's a water break. It's a training ground. It's a learning for me. It's a practice for me. just like meditation, just like Tai Chi, just like my gym workouts. This right here is my workout. I learned how to come in here, and I've talked to you about it before, but maybe not in this much detail. But I come in here, I do my own meditation, my personal prayer with God, and I directly channel. I literally had no idea what I was going to talk about today. So I sat down here. I felt like I wanted to talk about New Earth leadership. I wasn't sure about the frame. This is my practice. How do I connect so deeply to myself and with God that I don't need to rehearse? I don't need no notes. I don't need a teleprompter. I speak directly from source, my source, our source, for what is needed to be heard at this time. And this really goes back to the individual collective piece that I was speaking to earlier. In my individuation and connection to source, I'm speaking that which the collective needs to hear. That's my job. And the more I practice it, the better I get at it. And I'm getting good at it. I feel like I'm the best at it. I'm the best at my job. You know, I'm the one to get the job done. Ain't nobody can cover for me because I'm me. You are you. Can't nobody cover for you. And that's something that I hope that if nothing else you take away from this podcast, from this episode, is no one can cover for you. You are the greatest you. You are great. You are one of a kind. You're unique. And the more that you pour into that uniqueness of yourself, the more that you pour in to that love for yourself, that admiration for yourself, that confidence in yourself, then the more you'll be able to actualize yourself and the more successful you will be in your leadership role in this new earth paradigm. That's all God asks of you, is to show up as you, whatever state you're in. And I would say it's your best state right now. You are the best you right now. How can you get any better than now? And I feel the same for myself. I've been working so hard to get here. I know I'm going to go so much further, but I am the best iteration of myself right now. And I love myself for that. I applaud myself for that. I celebrate myself for that. And my celebration looks a lot different now than it did in the past. You know, of course, I do clink the champagne glasses. I love a good boomerang. I love a good champagne boomerang. But at the end of the day, that doesn't do it for me. Actually, I get really sick now when I drink. I mean, I always have, but now it's just like to a level where it's just, I really want to care for myself and my body and my being and my mind. And I want to nurture these gifts and I want to grow these gifts. And I hope the same for you, that you really start to listen to your body, listen to your needs, so much so that you love yourself for it. And I'm so glad that this resonates with you, twin. You're very welcome, because I I really can see that our world is not doing well right now. Let's just put it that way. We can be doing so much better. And it starts with the individual for the collective. The more that we tend to ourselves, the more that we love on ourselves, the better we can be for ourselves and for everyone. That's the individual individuated in the collective. And that's the new earth leadership. No longer is it about the American way, where it's like my way or the highway. Yeah, it's my way and our way. My way in alignment with our way. My way in alignment with the highest way, with Yahweh. It's really an alignment. And it's interesting because at my first company, many of you probably know, was called Dao, and it was inspired by Taoism. And Tao actually means the way. And interestingly enough, there is only one way. No matter how evil or how good you think you may be, We are all going one way. Some may take us longer, some may take us shorter, but we are all on a path back to source. We are all on a path back to God. We are all on a path back to our highest self. There's only one way to do this. And that's why I'm here to really serve an example that there is an easier way by aligning yourself with the higher self, with the highest source. That's the easiest way. It may feel hard, and I'm here to tell you it feels very hard. It's very painful. It's a lot of work, a lot of crying, a lot of anger, a lot of emotions, a lot of having to relationships breaking up, arguments, lawsuits. I tell you every week I'm double lawsuits, the double situation court cases right now. Dealing with other kinds of situations too on a business front. It's not an easy path, but it is the easiest path. Which, I mean, it's the truth. It's the easiest path because the whole time I'm protected. It's the easiest path because the whole time I am comfortable. I am safe. I am loved. I am expressing myself. I'm experiencing all the things I've ever desired. But along that way is work. And all of these situations that appear to be inconveniences are lessons. Okay? All of these situations where, like I just named, sound horrific and scary. And why would you want to be in that, Erin? Because they teach me. They teach me about me so I can show up even more deeply as myself in these horrible situations. So I can continue to align with that which is righteous, even in the most evil of those that come to me. And trust me, they be in my face. But I am so comfortable in my own being, I can look anybody in the eye and keep it moving because I know who I am. I don't allow anyone else's projections to bring me down. I don't allow anyone else's unhealed aspects of their life harm me because I am protected. And I can get into the metaphysics of what that protection means because actually, as I love myself and I know myself, my light body energy is rapidly increasing. So if your light body energy is in many ways like bubble boy. Imagine it like that. Like you're walking around in a bubble, and that bubble is your light body. And the stronger your light body is, the more impenetrable you are. The stronger you are, the less shit can affect you because that's why they say it's like Teflon. It actually cannot impact you. Your energy field is so vast and so strong and so big that it can't be penetrated. Even those that, I mean, obviously you're going to start to meet your matches, but God only gives you that which you can handle, baby. And that's scripture and that's truth. So rarely will you ever come across an opponent for which you are not prepared. An opponent is the layman's terms for a situation or a person or energy that feels in opposition to you, that feels difficult for you. You are very highly capable of getting to it and through it and succeeding, especially if you're trusting in who you are, what you believe, and what you know to be true. And I've talked a lot today. I didn't realize how far I've gone. It's lagging, but I was just talking, talking, talking. I didn't even care because I am ready to serve you as you pursue your leadership. If you are interested in working with me, working with the meta business world, having me come in as a speaker, doing coaching, strategy work, activations, I am ready. And if you're ready, I'm there for you. And I'm just going to leave it with that if you're interested in our programs, Meta Business World programs, my speaking, definitely check me out at erinpatten.com, www.erinpatten.com. Certainly, I saw some of you were leaving comments. If this message resonates with you, leave me a comment, send me a DM, let me know how this has impacted you. Share this with friends too if you feel like someone could benefit from these messages, because we're going to be showing up here every week doing this work. Every week, like I said, because this is my practice and my commitment to the collective. If it's not being heard now, it's going to be heard eventually. And so thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for this time. And I will see you all next week. Much love and light. Peace. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.